What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today we have a very special guest, all the way from Ohio State, three-time All-American, Ethan Smith. Ethan, welcome to the podcast, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Derek.
Of course, man. Of course. So, kind of get started for us, man. Talk a little bit about where your career began. Was there someone kind of influential in your life that got you into wrestling? What was the beginning of Ethan Smith like?
Yeah, so I started when I was pretty young, like the summer of my fourth grade year, and then my dad got me into wrestling. It kind of just took off from there. High school was filled with up and downs and roller coasters. I think my journey to Ohio State was just incredible. The roller coaster ride. I didn't have success right away in high school. I really flew under the radar. My family moved around a lot, so that made things challenging as far as getting recruiting. And then someone who just kind of like really lifted me up and helped me through it, and I think jump a level to kind of prepare me to get on the radar to even be recruited by D1 schools was my coach Kramer Whitelaw up in Maryland. So just kudos to him. Very grateful. He's been an absolute blessing in my life, and he really took me to a different level. Once I headed to Maryland for my last 2 years and prepared me to be a Buckeye.
Yeah. So, I think one of the big, Maryland is kind of one of those states where it's not super talked about. So, where do you think Maryland ranks in the nation as in the wrestling side of things?
I think as a whole, it's like the difference between wrestling in Pennsylvania and then wrestling in Maryland was just it was such a huge gap. You might face someone in round one of the state tournament in Pennsylvania who could, maybe win the damn thing in Maryland. So I think the gap in just technique alone was just huge. It was a way different. The fans were different. I think the culture, even with wrestling, was different. Obviously, there's been some really great wrestlers come out of Maryland, so we're not going to knock them too bad. But I just think as a whole, in comparison to like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Jersey, California, like some of those real like hammer states where they're constantly having incredible wrestlers succeed both high school and at Division 1 level. I think the difference is pretty big.
Yeah, I know we've had a couple conversations with guys from Maryland, and they've all kind of said the one big thing is wrestling does not have the amount of support as it does on, like you said, Ohio, Jersey, Pennsylvania. The PA state tournament pretty much sells out every year. You can't get tickets to that. And then, a lot of people are saying like anybody could just kind of walk into the Maryland state tournament and there's room for, as many people as you can fit in there.
Yeah, I remember competing. I had a year at the Hershey Center, and just like the environment is crazy. It's really not that far off from what you experience in Tulsa or previous places with the NCAA tournament. It's a suffocating environment. The fans take it seriously. You can tell the sport is really appreciated. Whereas in Maryland, I think people was like, "Oh, the tournament's here. We'll just stop in and we'll see what's up." And really, just family members. I feel like is all that was there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know definitely like there's people that make like trips as like a family down to go watch Hershey, in Hershey. And, it's just PA wrestling is just something special, man. But talk a little bit about, obviously you get in contact with Coach Tom Ryan and talk a little bit about what your recruitment was like to Ohio State.
Yeah, so I don't know if a ton of people know this, but originally I committed to Iowa State. So I went on a visit there, and Coach Jackson and the Paulson brothers were on staff at the time. And my visit there was incredible. I think I meshed really well with the team. I could feel a good energy. I didn't mind the small town aspect out in Ames, and I really just fell in love with the coaching staff. Especially the Paulson brothers. They were just really cool. The way they would converse with me, it was very like relational right away. So um, all that happened, and then the athletic director wanted a complete 180 turnaround in the staff, and they hired Dresser. And so ultimately, I requested to get my release because I'd already signed my letter of intent. And it was kind of tricky. Dresser was persistent. I think we had like 3 or 4 phone calls where at the end of each one of them, I was like, I'm pretty sure I want my release still. I committed to these coaches. If I wanted to commit to Dressler, I would have committed to Virginia Tech, before he made the switch. So I just, not that there's anything against him, I just wasn't interested. It didn't fit me. It wasn't my best interest to go there. So I finally got my release, and then Fletcher, my friend from Latrobe, had reached out to me and was like, are you thinking of staying? You thinking of leaving? I was like, no, I'm definitely leaving. I'm requesting my release, and I got in contact with the coaches, and the rest is kind of history from there.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about the class you came in with. Who are some of the guys that you came into Ohio State with?
Yeah, so I came in with I think some pretty heavy recruits. It was me, Chase Singletary, and Caleb Romero. Those are like the big heavy hitters that we came with in our class. Um, it was competitive, it was really fun to be able to practice with those guys and live day to day with them. And we all kind of got to see how we lived our lives, off the mat, as well as in the room. And it was exciting. I just hadn't been able to get that much quality wrestling whenever I wanted it before in my life. And it was really sweet. It was cool. And it was really cool to have Caleb with me, throughout the entirety of their journey. Chase Singletary, great dude. His journey kind of ended early. He had a lot of obstacles to overcome, but God bless him. He was incredible while he was here, and yeah, it was a really cool class. I think we got really close as the years progressed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you and Caleb Romero have kind of certified yourself as staples in that Buckeye lineup, and I think next year it's gonna be a little different when we see the Buckeyes wrestle without you guys in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm honestly excited to see kind of who on the team now kind of steps up into a leadership role. And it was always me, Sasso, and Romero. I think kind of took the helm as far as leadership and talking to the younger guys and hyping everyone up. So I'm really excited to see who else will kind of step up.
Because who leaves and who like how many in total people are you losing this year?
I think all we're losing is Tate, Caleb, and myself. I think Hoffman, Sasso, everyone else comes. Malik as well. This was his last year, so
Big hit, big kind of a big hit, but I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of young talent. I know you guys brought in that young recruiting class. We kind of got to see a little bit of Jesse Mendez this year, and I know you guys have Buzakis. We got to see a little bit of, and I think everybody in the country is waiting for the unveiling of what 1 year of college training did to Nick Feldman. I
yeah.
think there's a lot of people that are interested in what he looks like, what like how skilled he's going to be next season. I think it's going to be really exciting to see if he's the guy that gets the call to go out at heavyweight.
Yeah, I think just from what I've seen in his training and the guys that we have that could potentially be at that weight in the room. I mean, Feldman is like your clear front runner. And he's incredibly talented. And along with that, he works extremely hard. He was dealing with his injuries and he had surgery. But once he healed up from that and he was able to do some type of training, there was never a time where you didn't see him in there in the morning. He was always lifting legs or biking or something. So he was always in the room. And I think now he's officially back on the mats. So I'm really excited to see kind of how he shapes up this summer and gets a full summer training in of wrestling freestyle and competing with Colin, for a full summer. So it's gonna be fun. I think he's gonna be all the hype and then some.
I
There's always
agree.
a little bit of a learning curve when you come into D1 wrestling. You're wrestling grown friggin' men. So there's but he's right there with him. I'm excited. It's gonna be
Yeah.
cool.
And I agree. And I think, he's kind of falling into the hardest heavyweight, conference. You got a returning Kirk Levitt, you got Lucas Davidson, who just came in from, Northwestern to Michigan now. And, you got Cassiope and a hungry Ben Keeter. So you don't really know who's going to be out there for the Hawkeyes. This is kind of the first year where, the Big Ten is like heavyweight you at this point. It's
Yeah.
like all the top guys are wrestling at heavyweight. So I think it's gonna be awesome to see, Nick Feldman come out and go ahead and compete. But I mean, we talked a lot about your teammates and just getting back to you were able to capture in your pretty very, very dominant, very lengthy career at Ohio State. You're able to capture yourself 3 All-Americans. Not a lot of people that could you know, say they did that. So what was that like for you being able to get on the podium 3 times?
Um, I mean, it's just it's something you dream about and you think, that you can attain it when you start wrestling. It doesn't really become real until you step out there in your college singlet. I mean, it was incredible the gratitude I have for even just being able to go out there and compete at a program like Ohio State, wrestling with the veterans that are on our staff. It's just it's a blessing, and I'm so grateful for it. To be able to end my career too the way it was in Tulsa. Obviously, I'm coming into the tournament. I'm shooting higher for seventh. So that it was a real heartbreaker, but I'm glad I stuck through it and made it through the blood round. And yeah, it's just bittersweet. I mean, not a lot of people can say they did it, and I'm really proud for my career, but I always think back and I'm just like, it would have been cool to, maybe hit the finals or, get a title. That was always the dream. But, you know, it
Yeah.
was an incredible journey.
Yeah.
I got no regrets.
Incredible journey. And I'm sure, along with, wrestling, you've also, I'm sure, had learned a lot. You've learned a lot in your life, and you've made, I'm sure, a lot of brothers that you'll have the rest of your life as well. And, you know, as much as I'm sure you had that in the back of your mind, wishing you'd won a national title or in the finals, like there's a lot of people that don't even get the opportunity to be able to compete at a D1 level. And I think, a lot of people take that for granted, that like, oh, like this kid didn't work out, he was so good in high school and he gets to college and never won nationals, or like stuff like that. But I don't think a lot of people know what it's like, what's a day in your life like, during the season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think a lot of people understand. Not only is it really hard to just get to a college, and not only like you can go to any like there's some colleges in D1 where like maybe it's funding or just the type of people on the staff or the kids that they're being able to recruit. The programs are just I feel like they're at a disadvantage compared to like a top tier program like Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State, Oklahoma's like those really prestigious programs. So to be able to wrestle at D1, not only that, wrestle at one of those prestigious schools and then separate yourself from the other guys around you at that school and then other guys in the country, like it's really hard to do. And so hats off to, the guys who come in and dominate for 4 years. It's a really tough thing to do. And it just reflects how they're living their life. Um, yeah, it's freaking tough to do.
Yeah, and I think from the fan perspective, it's like we look at it as you guys are just going out there to compete. On the weekends or on a Friday night, we see you guys put the straps up and go out and wrestle. But, you're at the end of the day, you're also getting a degree from a top 10 university, especially yourself. And, Ohio State has some really great programs. I think all the schools in the Big Ten are just really not just wrestling schools, but as well as really great education. So talk a little bit about what it was like getting a degree at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think I skipped over one of your questions. What was a typical day like?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this can kind of all
Yeah,
go
yeah,
together.
you could
Um,
tie that in.
but like you wake up, you have your morning workout, whether it's required or you going in on your own, and then usually hit some type of conditioning or strength, and then you go home, and that's where you do your school. Make sure you're refueling after that morning workout, and you have your evening practice, right? Which is where you really got to focus in. That's more I think for us, a lot of the times it was maybe a little less like slow technique. It was a lot of positional sparring. We love Coach Ryan loves the live wrestling. He tapered back a little bit this year, I think, across the board. And then I had class at night, so I was getting my master's degree, so I would do all that during the day, and then I'll have class from 6:15 to 9:30. And if I had a cool professor, we'd get out a little earlier than that. So your day is just filled up with
Yeah.
stuff to do all day.
Yeah,
So
you're going from basically probably
yeah,
6 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night.
9:30 at night. Yeah, so I class 4 days a week for the first year of my master's program, and it was less for the last semester. But yeah, you're going all the way for the full days, and on top of that, you have your competitions and your travel. So you know,
Studying and
yep,
trying to have a life of sort, I'm sure, as well in there.
yeah, it's hard to balance, but the biggest thing you can take from it is It really teaches you how to manage your time well, and that's something I can translate well into the professional world. As I move on from wrestling here soon. So yeah.
So Ethan, what's the next step for you? What is the next step? Will we see you kind of just, ride that Buckeye horse off into the distance and, kind of go ahead and hit the real world and get yourself a nice job and kind of start your life? Or will we see you come back and maybe try to make a world team or, join the coaching staff? What do we think is next for yourself? Are you going to fight, something like that?
Yeah, so I actually have that figured out already. I just accepted a job with Ashfield, a pharmaceutical company um, here in Columbus. So I'll be doing pharmaceutical sales at the end of the month. And I've just been really blessed with mentors and people who have, connected with me and built relationships to be able to help me once I was done with wrestling. I would a part of me would love to come back and wrestle. I think for me in the back of my mind, I've always loved wrestling and had a deep love for it. And I'm glad that I took the extra year. But this has always been my plan to kind of move on and join the corporate world, and work and try and make some money. So that's always been the end goal for me. So I think I'm gonna ride the Buckeye train into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to hear, but as from a fan standpoint, but I'm sure you're excited to go ahead and start, living your life. And do you think Columbus will be the place you stay? Do you think you've kind
Yeah.
of fallen in love with the city?
Yeah, I've enjoyed all my years here in Columbus, and the job I just accepted will be here in Columbus as well. So I'm gonna be around for a little bit. So it'll be cool. I'll be able to stop by the wrestling room and hit all the matches. So I won't have to completely say goodbye to wrestling. I'll still be around and help out whenever I have free time. So yeah, I'm just freaking blessed, dude. I mean, not a lot of people get to have the career I did, and then right after, have incredible people in your life that can hook you up with an opportunity like I have in front of me. So I'm just feeling really blessed right now where I'm at.
And I think a lot of the fans out there are really excited to see this Flow movie that's going to come out, called The Young Bucks. For
Yep.
anybody out there wondering, Flow Wrestling put together, I think they followed you. How many did they follow you the whole season this year?
Yeah, they were around a lot. And I know a lot more towards the back end of the season. So maybe like senior night. I know they were there for Penn State. It's like Penn State senior night, and then all the training, and then Big Tens and nationals. They were around a good bit. So
Yeah, I
it's
think a
gonna
lot
be,
of
it's
I
gonna
think
be
a
a
lot of
good
people
time.
are excited because the clip that they put out, it's gonna I think it's gonna be able to see like show a lot of the fans a little bit more of a personal view of what you guys are like, not just out there competing, but like as a team and the bonding that you guys do. And I think it really showed this year that your team was really strong. You guys were able to bring home a trophy from nationals. So, what was that like being able to get a trophy your last year in Tulsa?
It was incredible. Me and Caleb specifically, we've been here for a long time, and I think we haven't been a part of a team where we've been able to score points at the NCAA's and get a team trophy. Like Colin and Kyle and those guys before us and Pletcher, like they got a trophy. So one day Tom was just talking to us in the room, and he was like pointing out at all the trophies and the accolades, and he was like, you guys haven't done anything. He's like, you guys are kind of standing on the shoulders of the people before you. I think it kind of clicked for a lot of us, like we're still kind of riding off of the things that they've accomplished, and we had a really incredible team. And we were like, well, we can do this ourselves. We can bring a trophy home. And a lot of people counted us out. It didn't even look like we were going to get one there either until we had a really good blood round, and that kind of pushed us
Yeah.
through. So it was really cool, man.
Yeah, you guys had a really, probably one of the best blood rounds we've seen out of any college team. I think that was a big round for you guys, and you guys were able to score a lot of points as well. It wasn't that you guys had winning, but you guys were able to score a lot of team points. And I know it came pretty close down at the end. I know Cornell kind of slipped a little bit ahead of you guys, with those two wins for them in the finals, which a lot of people weren't expecting to get both. But um, you guys are able to capture yourself a title, and I'm sure, being able to hoist up that trophy and, have something in the room to kind of remember, that team that you guys put together is kind of special for you.
Yeah, I agree too. And I know, like, I mean, it's fourth place, right? So we were always shooting higher, and I think the team that we had, um, like I still don't even think everyone wrestled to their full capacity at nationals. Like I think we had such an incredible team. It like nationals just crazy environment. It's always off script. So like fourth place isn't where we were hoping to be, but it was just really cool for us seniors to go out with some hardware as a team, individually as well too.
Yeah, man. It's been an awesome, as much of a Penn State guy as I am, born and raised in northern Pennsylvania. I gotta say I'm a big Penn State guy, but it's been awesome, seeing some of those guys from Ohio State, just perform and when you guys aren't wrestling Penn State, I guess I could say I'm a Buckeye fan, but
All
uh
right, we'll take it. We'll
well,
take it.
it's been awesome to follow your career. So we're gonna kind of change segments here a little bit and kind of just talk to you a little bit about, your personal life a little bit and kind of ask you some questions that aren't so wrestling related. So the first one is a little bit wrestling related. What is your favorite wrestling shoe throughout your whole career that you've ever worn?
That's that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I've only had Nike since I've been here. I did love my John Smiths in high school. I wore that same shoe for a freaking long time. And whenever they would get worn out, I'd buy another pair. Um, I would say those or just I really loved my white and gold freaks. I
I
always
can't believe
wrestled.
they're gonna stop making
You know,
freaks. I can't
so
believe it, man. I feel like that's been a staple. We've heard a lot of people talk about like the ending of the freaks. Because I mean a lot of the schools in the Big Ten are Nike schools.
yeah.
So I'm really wondering what schools like, like obviously Ohio State and what kind of schools like Penn State, they've worn those navy blue and white freaks for how many years now?
Yeah,
I think the
I don't know why
inflexes, a lot of
they,
people talk about the inflexes as well.
yeah, I like those. I'd probably say my favorite was the white and gold freaks. I think that's probably not even that close, really. I'd
Okay.
say
It's a good choice. Good choice. And then another one for you is who was your toughest opponent you think you wrestled your entire career? Who is that one guy that you just did not look forward to wrestling?
so many. There's so many people that you look forward you don't look forward to wrestling. Dang, that's a tough question. I mean, I'd probably say I would say Labriola, but honestly, I kind of got to where I was looking forward to wrestling him because I it was always so close and it was always exciting too.
They were
Like
good matches, yeah.
they were always good matches. So at first, like it was, I'd say mixed. Like it's like, dude, I've wrestled this guy so many stinking times. It's gonna be super close, maybe even overtime. So it was like a mix of like I'd be like, dang, we got to wrestle again, but also like we get to wrestle again. It's gonna be really fun. So I'd have to say Labriola.
Yeah, it's a good option, man. Good option. Another one for you. Favorite venue that you wrestled at throughout your whole career? What's the best venue you've competed at?
Probably Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I really like Pittsburgh. Just the setup was so nice, and obviously like my family being there, like it was just cool. Everyone I knew was there. It was a lot closer for everyone. And yeah, just the way it was set up, like we had to walk like 2 minutes from our hotel. Um, I like the energy of Pittsburgh, so I'd say Pittsburgh.
If you could wrestle anyone, you could create a super match. You could wrestle anyone, past, present, future. You could compete with they same weight class. They have to either come down to you or go up to you. Who would it be?
Jay Jaggers.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I'd probably pick him, but we'd probably meet at a catch weight, so it'd be like I would want him to be big enough to wrestle at like 65 because I could make that. And then us have a showdown because
That
he
would
always
be
tries to
interesting.
grab, yeah, he always tries to grab me, for live or something some days, even this year. And I always have to beat him up a little bit. So it'd be nice if he could come up and wrestle me.
All right, and this is pretty much one of the last wrestling related questions. What is your favorite attack from neutral?
Low single,
Low single.
low single all day.
It's a slick move, man. It's a dirty move as well. And then this is a good one. We here at Heavyweight Nation are some large men that enjoy some good food. So the first food related question, we have a whole list. The first food related question is, what is your post weigh in meal after you step off the scale? What are you eating before you go out and wrestle?
Um, so it varies. So depending on my mood. So typically I do a bagel with peanut butter, honey, and bananas, and then I'll get like some blueberries and almonds, and then like a little bit of jerky. Um, so really, I don't really ever eat too much food because I like to kind of keep a leaner stomach when I go out there, and I like to save room to hydrate as much as I can as well.
All
But
right.
I would do peanut butter or like a turkey sandwich, and then the sides would be the same.
All right. And then rolling off of that one, what's your favorite food? You don't have to worry about making weight. What's your favorite food to eat?
Oh man, I like to eat everything. I really love fast food. Like
Do
I
you?
really
That's like a guilty pleasure.
guilty pleasure. I love going through McDonald's drive-through and just getting an ice cold Diet Coke and just
Diet
like
Coke is
just
so good.
greasy food, like some
I
cheese.
like I like quit diet soda like a couple months ago, and let me tell you, like a Diet Coke, a fountain Diet Coke specifically,
It's so good.
yeah, that's better than I think any food. Like a fountain Diet Coke from McDonald's is absolutely great. Um, and then this is just kind of one for the fans. What do you do for fun besides wrestling? What does Ethan Smith do on an off day? You got a little bit of time to kind of get your head straight. What do you do?
Yeah, typically, I mean, I'm either binge watching a TV show, um, and then a lot this year we would all get together on Warzone on Call of Duty, and we'd put in some hours. We play a good
What's
bit.
the war zone? What's the best four man?
Typically it's me, Seth Shoemate, Gavin Bell, and Nick Bouzakis. That's kind of the squad we've been rolling with lately. We get some dubs. Shumi's really good. He's kind of the leader of the team, but
Mhm.
it's always a good time.
All right, that's a good one. That sounds like a killer squad, man. Killer squad. And then what, in your opinion, what's the best food around the Ohio State campus?
Oh,
Best restaurant you've ever been in Columbus?
dang. That's tough. There's so many good restaurants in Columbus. It's just like I don't know that I could pick a number one because it always just depends on what you're in the
All
mood
right,
for.
top five, top five, top five, top five
Um,
restaurants in
we'll do top.
Columbus.
We'll do top three. We'll do
Top
top
three.
three.
Yeah.
Um, there's a Chinese place, Thai's Asian Bistro. That's got to be top three. Um, the Pearl in Short North is incredible. What else? And then we'll go sweets. We'll throw in Lions Cup cookies as well.
Okay.
Uh,
You big cookie guy?
Brown, big cookie guy. I love my cookies.
Cookies over any, is cookies your favorite dessert
Yeah.
over ice cream?
Well, I usually like to do cookies and ice cream
What's the
together.
favorite ice cream flavor?
If I'm going somewhere like Graders, I just like cookie dough. And then typically I'm just like a vanilla. I just like plain vanilla because I'm usually eating it with cookies
Cookies.
or something else. Yeah.
That's a good one. I think we've heard a lot of cookie dough from a lot of wrestlers. I don't know if it's like a wrestling thing, but a
I
lot
do.
of wrestlers have said cookie dough. They're big cookie dough fans, man. And growing up, were you a guy that watched a lot of wrestling growing up?
Yeah.
So who was your top three favorite wrestlers of all time?
All time.
Mhm.
Hmm. Um, Gabe Dean is one. I used to love watching him wrestle growing up. I loved his intensity in the hand fight.
First
Um,
time we've heard Gabe Dean. Shout out Gabe Dean. Gabe Dean was on the
yeah,
podcast. So shout
yeah,
out Gabe Dean. Yeah.
yeah, dude, he was a dog, man. Gabe Dean, Jordan Oliver. I'd like to. He was just so slick and fast, and I love low singles, so I really enjoyed watching him. And then I got to shout out my boy Logan Steves, my dog.
How
I
can
love.
you not? Kid's a dog. Yeah.
It
Guy's
was
a
just cool
dog,
to
man.
watch. Yeah,
Such a good wrestler.
you could bet your house on that guy, and you're like, he's
Oh
probably,
yeah.
probably gonna win.
100%, 100%. And then this one might cause some trouble in the Ohio State wrestling room. Favorite practice partner of all time throughout all the years you've wrestled at Ohio State. Who was the best practice partner?
All time. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Hmm. That is a really tough question.
As I said, some people might give you some side eye next time they see you.
I'm just like I'm trying to think like who I always try to grab. Oh man, that's tough. Dang. I don't know if I could do an all time. I could almost give you one for like every year. But all time. I would probably have to say Cleary, Elijah Cleary. Um, because he was around from my redshirt freshman year, all the way until the year I made it to the semis. And he would always be my go-to partner for like 4 years.
Okay.
Um, I'd probably say Cleary.
Elijah Cleary, man. And then final question for you here before we go into our closing questions. Favorite wrestling moment through your whole career? If you could pick one moment, which one was the best for you?
That's easy. It was us versus Penn State the year after COVID. My last year at 65, I pinned Joe Lee in the first period. Got the team hyped up. It was crazy. It's
Good.
easily.
It's a good one. Good moment, man. And then we like to close the show up with two questions. We've asked this question I'm about to ask you about 160 odd times now to 160 different wrestlers. One day we're gonna have to make a bracket and see whose team is the best. But take three of your Ohio State Buckeye teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse. Who would they be and why?
Okay, first is Seth
Boy,
Shoemake.
you're quick with this one, man.
This
Holy,
is
all right, all
taking
right.
Shoemake just because of our war zone bond, and so he's one of them. Then I would take Sarge Hoffman. That is his ability to eat such terrible animal-based foods and make it good. He'd probably be the guy you want on your side in apocalypse.
Okay, that's a. I don't know how to respond to that reasoning, but sure, all right.
No, he's always eating like beef and honey. Like I'm mainly just trying to crack at him. I hope he watches this and he can hear it. But all right,
we love it. We love the teammates cracking on each other, man. If
so
we ever
you,
get another one of your Buckeye teammates on here, we're gonna have to get Caleb on here, definitely.
yeah, he definitely has to get Caleb on it. He'll throw some shade
So
my
we'll
way.
post like what we did for you, like ask questions. Make
Mhm.
sure we post for Caleb. You ask some good ones.
Okay.
Get some teammates involved. Make
Yeah,
sure you get all the guys posting about it.
we'll do that. I'll pop a link for him to do it. So who I got? I got Sarge, Shumi.
Shoot.
I'm trying to think of like some real Boy Scouts on our team. They could
Some
really
boys.
they could really
I
flip.
weirdly think Buzakis would be
No,
he
Buzakis would crack. He would crack too fast in the apocalypse. He would need to play video games and be a normal person. He would crack too soon. I think we
Feldman.
probably take realistically, I think I'd probably take Mendez or Sasso as my third.
I like that. I like Mendez or Sasso. I feel like they're both very like level headed kind of
Yep.
guys.
I would take either of those two. There's someone well, you get swarmed by some zombies, you probably want them clubbing them off with you.
Mhm. That's a good one, man. Good one. And then final question, kind of closing statement here. Say something to Buckeye Nation, and then after that, say something to the kids, man. Say something to all those kids that have gone to your dual meets and have want to become Buckeyes in the future.
Yeah. To Buckeye fans, hey, a lot of you hated on us this year. You didn't think we could do it, but we got a team trophy, right? So we still love you. Best fans in the land. I love that anywhere you go and you're wearing scarlet and gray, someone will say OH and you hit them with the IO, no matter who, if you know them or you don't. Thanks for an incredible 6 years of supporting me. It's been amazing. If I could do it again, I would, but a part of me wouldn't do it actually because it was tough. And then for the kids out there, like I was a guy who didn't have a lot of success, flew under the radar. Maybe Division One wrestling was looking like it was getting a little further away, and I just kept at it. Didn't give up, kept at it, kept coming back, and it worked out. I got to rep the Buckeye singlet for 6 years, and I wouldn't take any of it back. So for any of you guys out there doubting yourself, maybe because you haven't had success yet, whether maybe you don't have the best life at home or whatever it might be, don't give up. Just keep coming back, fall in love with it, and sky's the limit, man.
You know, I hate that question gets put on my script. I swear, every time I get a little damp in the eyes, man, listening to these older guys say goodbye, it's terrible because it's like I'm 20 years old. So to put in perspective to you, like watching the guys who are this is their last year, like this season was their last year. Like this was like my prime young early teenage years. All my friends in the living room watching
Yeah.
nationals like together, like at like these big watch parties we would have. This was like my childhood. So like
Yeah.
seeing all you guys go, I'm like, man, this sucks.
It sucks, dude. It's bittersweet.
It
It's
is
sad. Like,
very bittersweet, very
I was just
bittersweet.
like bored today going back through ESPN and like watching some of the rounds. I was watching the blood round earlier today specifically, and it's just I already miss it. I already miss competing. Yeah, it's sad. It's
It's
freaking
been
sad.
a it's been an honor, man. It's been an honor watching your whole career, and it's been a pleasure being able to sit down and talk with you a little bit today. You know, it's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. Thank you, Ethan, for your time, and thank you to everyone out there who's listening.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, Derek.
Of course, man. Have a good one.